These forests are stronghold of a secretive, poorly understood bird of prey. One of the most elusive birds you will ever find, the eagle of all eagles, the harpy eagle. That quote was stated by wildlife filmmaker Fergus Bewley. So today I want to describe for you the life and hunting tactics of a harpy eagle. So today in my presentation, I'll be going over general information on the harpy eagle, then I'll be talking about nesting / parenting, and then I will conclude with its hunting habits. But first, let's go over some general information on this eagle. It is one of the largest eagles in the world and arguably one of the strongest ones living today. The females are larger than the males, which is often the case with birds of prey. That information was provided to me by the San Diego Zoo Harpy Eagle fact sheet page. And according to the site Peregrine Funding, the wingspan of a harpy eagle is up to 6.5 feet long. And its talons, as you can see there, the talons for the harpy goes all the way on the right, and then as you see, as it goes up, you'll have the falcon, owls, hawks, and then you'll have a bald eagle, a golden eagle. The talon of a harpy eagle could grow the size of the claws of a bear. Its location. They live in the rainforests of Central and South America. They prefer the large expanses of uninterrupted forest and spend the majority of their time in the forest canopy. So there's the jungle floor, and then there's the canopy, which is like the treetops. It's kind of like its own environment. It has its own animals like birds and monkeys. Next, I'll discuss the harpy eagle nesting and parenting. As you can see here, here's a nest. They create large nests made of sticks and branches and are lined up with softer materials. According to the documentary Jungle Eagle, the nest is the size of a double bed, and they are built at least 90 feet from the ground in huge trees like pook trees, Brazilian nut trees. Okay, now let's talk about chicks. The harpy eagles mate for life, and they will spend a year or two focusing all their energy into raising that chick. The mother lays 1 or 2 eggs, and she only reproduces every 2 or 3 years. Both parents incubate the eggs, with the female taking most of the responsibility. First egg to hatch gets all the attention, while the second egg will most likely die from lack of incubation. So why does the female lay 2 eggs? It's an insurance policy. So if the first egg doesn't hatch, well then they got the second egg. They don't have to start all over again. Both parents feed the chick for 9 months, and at the 5th or 6th month, they're ready to fledge. Basically, they're ready to, leave the nest. They have their flying feathers. But as young adults, they may return to the nest every 10 days for a free meal from their parents. And because of this, the parents will start feeding them less and less in order to get them to fend for themselves and hunt alone and not depend on them. At the age of 5, they're able to breed, and their lifespan is up to 25 to 30 years. Okay, lastly, I'll be talking about their hunting methods. They fly below the jungle canopy and use their great talons to snatch up monkeys and sloths that can weigh up to 17 pounds. Capable of, in a serious chase, of reaching speeds of 50 miles per hour, Once it spots its prey with its excellent vision, which can see something less than an inch from 22 yards away, it dives down onto its prey and snatches it with its outstretched feet. The deadly talons of a harpy eagle can exert several hundred pounds of pressure, which could kill its victim instantly and crush its bones. Now I'm going to talk about what they eat. So as you see in the top right corner, that's a sloth, and then next to it, that's a monkey, which is, well, that monkey specifically is a howler monkey, which would be like the largest thing that you would hunt. Below that is an iguana, and then to the left of that is a jungle possum. They eat other things too, like small deer, porcupines, and armadillos, but they mainly feed on monkeys and sloths. Okay. So in conclusion, I talked about some general information on harpy eagles. I also talked about its nesting and breeding. And lastly, I talked about their diet and how they hunt. Thank you for listening to my speech. That concludes my presentation.
So Javier, what did you think?
I thought the topic was really interesting. I didn't know that there was a harpy eagle in the world. It was well organized. I like that there was no like words or anything on the PowerPoint. It was just pictures. I like that. I like how many slides he actually used. There wasn't too many. There wasn't a little bit. I did notice that he was using a lot of flashcards. That did throw me off a little bit, but I don't know about you guys. But I thought it was overall a good presentation.
Okay. All right, let's always start with the good stuff. I think I'll agree with you on the visuals. I think you've got some good images that you're using them. You're using them in an appropriate place. The only place that I thought maybe something extra would be useful would be after you showed the eaglet, maybe something in the adolescent age or its maturing stage, because we got the eaglet, and then that seemed to be about the extent of its growth. And you did mention, at 5 they start breeding, and at a few months later they shove them out of the nest, and they learn to do those kinds of things. So I'm just kind of wondering, because I basically got, fluffy, cute little thing and dangerous thing with giant claws, and it's like, okay, I'm getting, is there a stage in the middle? Other than that, I thought that the images were great. They're nice and large and easy to see. You introduced them at the right point. I like that you have the quote and the image going at the same time in your attention device. You say, this is the domain of this, largest, would you use the term for, not predator,
Bird of prey.
Bird of prey, yeah, in the world, that sort of thing. And I kind of like that you kind of keep it a little bit of suspense, and then you show us the picture, and we know what it is, and then you tell us the quote, the source of the quote at the same time. I thought that was a good combination of things for an attention device. I thought that worked really well at identifying the topic. You've got a pretty clear thesis statement, and you have a very solid preview, so we know what's coming up. All learning works this way, so I'm gonna draw an analogy for you. You go through different stages when you learn things, and do you remember learning to drive, everybody? Those of you who drive? I mean, now you're pretty smooth and good drivers, right? But do you remember when you first start off and you would oversteer, or you'd brake too soon, or you'd brake, too far back, or at the last minute, that kind of thing, and everything just felt a little bit awkward? you've got all the right steps in the speech, but you're still at that kind of awkwardness process there. So you're doing the right things, but it's not all flowing smoothly together. And the pacing is a good example of that. Your transition language is a good example of that. I can see you've got it organized. Here's point 1, point 2, point 3, but your transitions consist of next, lastly. You know, so it's like arm signal, you know, and I'm going to give that a block early, you know, that sort of thing. It's just you're doing the right things, but it just isn't polished yet. And so that's one of the things that more practice would help you with. And the more experience you have doing these things, you're going to be better off. The basics are all pretty solid. Same sort of thing when you're citing the information. I thought you cited the information pretty well on the first couple of points. I didn't hear any such citations after that. But those first citations, you're so obvious about saying where the information came from that it looks a little bit too obvious. It should flow a little bit smoother. As one other example of this, I think both at the beginning of the presentation, at the end of the presentation, you make a reference to the fact that you're actually giving a presentation. And I don't think you need to do that sort of thing. It's like, and now I am going to turn on the machine. As I am turning on the machine, notice, so you're just drawing a little bit too much attention to the mechanical processes. So you've got all the mechanical processes, but they're all noticeable, and they should be flowing more smoothly. Other than that, I think you've got the basics down, you're doing the right things, you're hitting the right notes, but it's like taking piano lessons. You've got all the notes in place, but it doesn't sound quite like a tune yet. It sounds like you are still practicing and working it out, which is not a bad place to be, but I'm just saying when you watch it back, I think you'll notice what I'm talking about. All right, thank you.